I'm going to tell you like this. Those three-letter agencies and whatever side of the political aisle you fall on, those people do not care about you the way you care about you.
Absolutely.
They do not care about your family and your children and your grandchildren like you care about them.
That's right.
Don't ever think it. We can elect the best person in the world up there and think that they are going to solve all our problems. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to solve your problems, you are your own best hope.
We've handed over our food security to someone else, and they're here to help you take it back. It's the Farm2Table Direct Show with Ryan and Keith.
Right. But once 2020 came,
oh man,
I want to draw a difference between 9/11, which said we lived in a false sense of security,
right,
to where the year 2020 we live in a false sense of food security.
You know, a false sense of food security, a false sense of supply.
Right.
I mean, we laughingly have joked a couple of times on the show and behind the scenes, March of 2020, when everything was really kind of in that ramp up, I had seen the virus who shall not be named.
Right.
I had seen it, I knew I'd caught pieces of it, and I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't tuned in on it. But, but I wasn't taking it serious. But you know what I called in March, the great toilet paper caper.
Right.
All of a sudden toilet paper and paper towels aren't on the shelves anymore.
Huh?
Right. I'm in Texas.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I'm down in Texas, and my wife calls. I'm on the phone with my wife, and I was going to the store in town, and she said, "Hey, if they got toilet paper, grab some because we're out up here."
Right.
And I'm in this, and I won't tell you where I was at, but I was in this tiny little town in Texas. Okay. Nowhere near. There's probably more people in one neighborhood than there is in the population of that town. Where there's more people in, not even a dot on the population of where I live.
Right.
And we're out of toilet paper there. And you expect me to find some here?
Oh.
Yeah, which I did. And I grabbed a pack and I brought it home from Texas.
That's it.
Because, but that was just that first, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
And we're in 2023.
Right.
And I still scratch my head some days, when I go to the store.
Right.
What's going on?
Right. And so as we began to look at all of the things that we had learned in the past and the things that was going on real time and seeing who all was involved in it, not even a question mark, they're actually blatantly telling you this is what we're doing. And we looked at it, this is what I realized. Even this late in the game after following politics,
Right.
everything I see is related.
Oh, it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Absolutely.
And you can't say, I used to compartmentalize it and say, well, you got your global warming or your climate change people. And then, you've got your three-letter agencies doing this. And then you've got this political party that's doing that. And it's the left versus the right and all of the things that was going on with that and all these different types of issues. And I would compartmentalize them out into different areas.
Right.
And then when it dawns on you that all of these things are related and they're intentional, that there are people behind the scenes involved in all of this.
Right. It kind of becomes an eye-opener. And, as we said, we weren't, we weren't in the game of politics, but yet at the same time, I consider us students and observers of it. We were, what we felt tuned in to what was going on politically in our country and where we felt we stood on things and that type of stuff. But really that time period kind of shook a lot of that core because it was like as we began to realize there are people and powers at play that we really hadn't realized just how deep that rabbit hole could go and how so much stuff that was going on until in the United States of America, people were locked down in their homes. People were wearing masks everywhere they went. Some still are, and all these just crazy measures for something that we hadn't even, we really didn't even know what it was for sure. And and people were like, we're willing to go along for a little while, but then it was just like, no, okay, I've had enough. And as we began to dig into, in our conversations and following reports stuff, began to kind of try to dig into what was happening. And like I said, feeling the impact of food shortage, feeling the impact of supply chain issues. You know, and I'll be straight up and honest with you, the shaming or the public scourging of anybody who dared to speak up against it.
Yes.
You know, and just seeing what was happening here in this country
Right.
that I had spent so much of my life in service to, you know, and I still believe it's the greatest country on the planet.
Yeah.
But when you see decisions being made by your three-letter agencies, your government officials, your elected officials, everything that is counterproductive or counterintuitive to the fabric of America, to our
Founding.
economy, our founding, our just everything that makes America what America is, individualism, you know, accountability, just all these things. And there's this mob mentality that's happening. You know, and it was just kind of like, you know, where do I live? You know, and it's,
Maybe we should have made just a short list of all the things that was happening.
oh my gosh,
you
it's
know.
crazy. I mean, if you
Yeah.
really look back on it, the amount of things that happened in a short window. So anyway, kind of moving forward with that, we were talking about all those things. And as we got to talking about food security and, you know, making sure that we had food, it also came to realize that it was food independence. I mean, it wasn't just security, but
Right.
through that security or through having
Right.
food supplies and access to food, you actually had freedom. You weren't beholden to
Right.
the box store. Or the
Okay,
government.
let's unpack that part just a little
Right.
bit, because I think this is the central key
Right.
in the reason that we started the Farm to Table Direct Show.
Right.
And actually we're bringing the why we're involved in this in every show.
Right.
We're also bringing in experts to teach you what you can do, and we're listening to the experts teach us what we can do to bring everything closer to home. Now, not only are we doing that, but we're also trying to do some of these things on our own. And we'll be getting into that here in just a little bit. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because we could go on for hours probably.
And
But
we don't want to do that to y'all.
yeah. So we're going to get into that just a little bit. But the why, whenever we seen everything that we seen coming together,
Right.
we thought, you know what? One of the things that our 4 major meat suppliers,
Right.
remember when we were
Right, the Big
talking
Four,
about that,
that's
the Big
right.
4,
Right.
and it came out that they had all joined this whole thing about ESG scores and some of the things they were doing to
Right.
the local ranchers and,
Right.
and that sort of thing,
Right.
and that they were getting all on board with this. Well, now we have centralized our control of our food
Right.
into the hands of a few people.
Right. That was a big part of that. Like you said, I mean, you talked about the Big Four and the centralization, but you know, I remember just the kind of being shocked at the staggering amount, just in the beef industry. I mean, never
Yes.
mind you get into any of the other fish, the
Yeah,
beef
there's
industry,
deep-
how much control just this small group of people had over this entire industry. And not only that they had it because of supply, you know, controlling the supply, their influence over regulations, their influence within the governments, their influence within, and then finding out that some of these countries aren't even here. I mean, they're not headquartered in the U.S. They're foreign foreign businesses
Right.
that have this much control
Over our food
over
supply.
our food supply. And that was, you know, you'll have heard it in the intro, and if you go back in our videos, you'll hear it in every intro. You know, we've given up control of our food
to someone
but
else.
and we're here to take it back.
We're
and that's,
here to help
you
you
know,
take it back.
Now, we're not calling for anything violent, so all y'all fact checkers and YouTubers, all y'all police out there, just understand we're talking about,
Back up.
you know, we're not talking about any kind of violent overthrow, but I mean, it's, you know, got to say it.
What we're doing is we're just trying to arrest some of the control back home
Right.
to where it belongs.
Through information.
Right.
You know, because, you know, knowledge is power.
Right.
And the more you know and the more knowledge you possess and the more of that, then the better informed decisions you can make and the more of a free thinker you can be and make decisions for you and your family that are beneficial to you and your family. And, you know, as he was talking about, you know, when you have the food supply chain and you look at all the different components that are in that chain,
Right.
and you realize how far away from you your food really is.
Right.
And as you begin to remove segments of that food chain, and you get it down closer and closer and closer to going directly from the farm to your table.
Right. Wait a minute. What did you just say?
Direct.
Now I understand
Now you
why
get-
you call yourself the Farm2Table Direct.
Show.
The show part is because it's a show.
Well, show, but yes, farm to table direct.
Right. So the things we talk about, the solution is in the name of the program.
It is in the name of that. It is in getting it closer. And if you know where your food comes from, and you know if you raise it yourself on your, in your backyard, on your property, or whether it's growing a vegetable or raising an animal, whatever, and it's coming straight out of your garden into your kitchen and onto your dining room table.
Yeah.
One, there's something satisfying about it.
Yeah.
But
Healthier,
then-
probably.
Right, and it's probably healthy.
Anything that sits on the shelf for 6 months and don't go bad, there's something wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And, something I seen the other day that said that when it came to processed foods, said the further out the shelf life date, the longer the shelf life date, the shorter your life.
Ooh.
Now, that's just what somebody said. It wasn't me, but
Right.
I'm just saying.
Is that true? I don't know.
I don't
You
know.
decide.
But, I mean, something's got to make that food last that long.
Yeah.
But, okay, say you can't, like I can't raise cattle. Okay, not that I don't know how, not that I couldn't, but I don't have the space. I don't have the land to do it.
Right.
Okay, but I know somebody who does.
That's it.
That's a direct line. I know where to go get it, and I've got relationships with people who grow cattle. Okay,
Right.
so I can go get beef if I want it.
Sure.
Okay, same thing. Whether it's, I don't care if it's pork, chicken, vegetables. That's why I say the farmers markets and that type of thing. You're getting as close to your table as you can get. Because
Right.
here's the thing, folks, and a lot of you watching this probably already know this. Your box stores or your local grocery store, they've only got outside window 2 to 3 days worth of food in that store. They're worth a customer, their supply center.
Right.
Well, down here in this part of the country, we got what we call tornadoes. And those that are in the Oklahoma, Arkansas, and this part of the Mid-South and South, and the Midwest, y'all know all about some tornadoes.
I've heard of that.
You've heard of that. Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. And we don't get real winter like some of the folks up on the closer to Canada do, up into Montana, up in the northern part of the states.
Right.
But if there's storms coming, and they know they're coming, a string, or let me tell you something, let there be some snow and ice on the way. Go to your local store and see if you can't find something. See how empty them shelves get quickly.
Right.
So if that's the case, what's it going to be like if there's mass panic or if there's some kind of thing you ain't going to be able to get
Right.
if you don't already have?
Right. And preparation is just that. It's preparation for not just if peanut butter hits the fan, but it's preparation for anything. It could be, a local emergency, floods. It could be tornadoes,
Hurricanes if you're on the coast.
anything.
And it's, and that's exactly what it is. It is preparing. You buy insurance on your home,
Right.
gambling that you won't need it, hoping you don't need it in all honesty.
Right.
Okay. But you're putting back, you're preparing. Okay.
Right.
Same thing on a car, whatever. You put your seatbelt on, hoping you never need it.
Right.
But you want it there when you do. And it's no different for your food.
Right.
And so, we've seen this happening. And just to be blunt about it, we just looked at it and said, if we don't stand up and say something now,
That's it.
one, who will?
Right.
Okay.
Our why.
Our why is because we don't want to look our grandkids in the face someday and them ask us, Papa
Keith.
why didn't you say something? Why didn't you do something to stop this?
Right.
Why didn't you take care, and that's not going to be something that happens with us. That's,
Right.
I refuse to do that.
Trust me, we got blowback from our own family
yeah.
members about, if you say something,
Right.
don't say anything.
Still catch it from time to time.
Because
Still
you'll
hear
become a
stuff.
target, and that may be true.
Right.
I'm not ruling that out.
Well, I still
But-
hear it, but it's, we counted the cost.
Right.
And
Speaking of that,
yeah.
Speaking of that, just a little sidetrack since you mentioned it. We have been working on a documentary as
Right.
to why we start, and that is called Counting the Cost. We're still in the process of working on that,
Right.
but got a lot of work. We've been sidetracked on a lot of other things that we will not mention right now,
Right.
but because we got other
Projects. And
content projects that we're also working on.
That was, I guess, one of the byproducts, if you will, of getting into this and starting down this road is that it opened doors that we didn't see coming, and they took some time, and and now
we're back though.
We're back on track and back to us,
right?
But still, point being is, we've caught, we've both.
Got a little blowback, and I understand it. And I'm not even belittling it. I'm not at saying all. Anything.
It's a valid concern.
However,
the chance that you might catch a little bit of heat or there might be repercussions versus what will happen if you say nothing.
That's it.
Because all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
Right.
And history has proven this time and time again.
Yeah.
And so, that was our why, was that we didn't want to go quietly into the night.
That's it.
And, some of these things may very well be beyond our control and can't, I don't expect to be able to influence those things. But if through information, more people are prepared, more people are aware, more people are awake to what's going on and can make preparation and begin to seek out a different, way of doing things, then that's just that much closer. One, as I've said before, I said it in the interview the other day, every person that starts preparing, every person that starts putting back, ever starts doing this stuff is one less person I have to worry about or you have to worry about or anything else.
That's right.
And, because that's the side of this.
Right.
And that's why the homesteading community really just kind of stood out so much as once we became aware of how big it was, once we became aware of them and seen what they stood for, that these are the people that are living the how of our why.
Yes.
And they're out doing it. And they are all doing it they may not want to be political or address that in their channels.
Right, yeah.
I'm not going down that road. That's
right. Although Doug says, stop it.
Doug said, stop it. Doug said, get after, voice up. But everybody has to make that decision for themselves. And so we said, okay, we're going to go and we're going to be that voice. We're going to be that alarm and push as much information about who's doing these things, what we see as their motive, why they're there, and put that information out and then let the viewer or let people decide for themselves based on this information. When we say something, yes, if I say it, if I stand here, I stand behind it, I believe it, it means something to me. And that's my prerogative. That's right. And what I see as the way forward or what I see as the answer may be different than what y'all see as the answer.
Right.
But that's okay. That's called free thinking. That's called, taking facts, taking points and considering them, consider the data, and make a decision going forward of what's best for you and for your family, at the end of the day. I hope that you choose wisely, but, the reality is everybody has to make a decision.
Besides, regardless of which side, of that fence that you fall on or what degree that you believe it is or is not happening, what's it going to hurt? To put a little groceries back, to prep, prepare for the unexpected. That's what we say at the end of every show. Prepare for the unexpected and keep it local.
Right.
And that is part of the solution. The Farm2Table Direct Show. That's what we're about.
Right.
And I'm going to open up something else just so that they can kind of see what our situations is because we're running a little long here.
Okay.
And that is this, is that you may think that you can't do anything. You may think that because you live in a small space, that you simply don't have a way to prepare by doing your own thing. Well, first of all, you can buy a little extra canned good here or an extra dry good or something that you can store back for emergencies. Those things almost everybody can do.
Right.
And if you plan for it and prepare for it, then you'll have it back there. And I promise you will sleep better at night knowing if something happened, your children, your extended family members, they will be okay for a time. Depends on how much you prepare.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the first things that we started doing was just taking some mason jars and putting in some rice, putting in some beans, sealing them up, putting them in a closet. I mean, just, picking up some extra cans here and there of things we knew we would eat.
Right.
Don't go out and buy stuff that you and your family ain't going to eat, and you ain't going to eat it.
Right.
I mean, unless that's what you're going to give away,
Right.
But we focused in that. Well, then, okay, a little bit of planning. We got some of the 72-hour food supply buckets type thing. Start doing that, and this was just stuff to keep in the house in the event something happened that we had to have food in it. That led to a deep freeze. So, we stocked the deep freeze.
Sure.
And we began to add more and more stuff, keeping propane in a grill, keeping an ability to cook, getting a generator,
Right.
just
Little by little.
little by little, step by step, not all one big chunk of money at one time.
Right.
Now, as some of y'all may get a chance to know down the road, I got generator happy. Okay, I mean, I got one, and one led to two, and now I think I've got four. I mean, it's
Right.
But that's just me.
So let's back up and just tell them, where we are personally.
Right. Okay.
I'll start with mine. Is I live in the city limits.
Right.
I have a house with maybe, how big do you think that lot is back? I don't even know what I own.
Was that a quarter acre? Maybe.
Quarter acre or something like that, and yes, I can do something, but I don't have a, 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre farm. And so my preps are a little bit different than Ryan's preps may be. And so, what we've done is we have started to, stock back certain foods for us and maybe some of our family members. And for those things, we've prepared for our medical emergencies, in case that sort of thing happens. And we're looking to do things in smaller containers. Like I'm really fond of wicking tubs.
Right.
My wife is very good about planting certain things that we eat all the time inside of tubs, and she does very well. Like, for example, we plant onions in our flowers.
Right.
Spring onions in our flower, green onions, maybe that's what you call it. But we use those a lot, and so we clip those whenever we want them. But that's something that she grows all the time, and so we're doing little things like that. But the other thing is that as far as me and my wife Melly, the things that that we prepare is we don't want anything to keep us geographically located, and so we can't have animals.
Right.
And so we're reaching out to make relations with other people who want to sell animals, and we're building those structures right now, those relationships with people.
Just a side note, you might want to say relationships and not relations. That has a different meaning in the South, my brother.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Just poking at him a little bit, just having a little fun.
Hey,
no.
take me for what you know. I mean, not for
That's
what I
right. That's what my wife says all the time.
Yeah.
Just to listen to what you know I said, not what I meant. Know what I meant instead of what I said. Keith and Melly and their situation, where they live and their avenue, it's different than what me and my wife and my family are doing.
Yeah.
But it works for their situation.
Right.
But they're doing something and they're preparing, they're putting
Right.
food back. And in all honesty, probably has more food in the house than I do. Just in a different way.
Well, we almost have to because, you've got land and you're about to get into
Right,
it,
and that's it. We started out, kind of got into the prep mindset. In all honesty, Josh, who's not here, kind of was the first one to really kind of get into the prep mindset in the family, or just laying back and putting back. And so we live in a subdivision in town.
Mm-hmm.
I've got less actual real estate in town on my property in town than Keith has here at his place.
Yeah.
And and I got neighbors literally out my bedroom window. My neighbor's front door is 14, 15 feet away. I mean, I'm
Right.
left and right. I'm pretty,
Yeah.
But we were able to container garden. We just started that a couple of years. There's videos out there where I was trying, and we
Sure.
seemed to be having a little better success this year. But we said, okay, we're container garden. Of course, I mentioned about some of the stuff that we began to buy from a preparation standpoint for in the house and keeping there with us. But the big thing was a few years ago, about 3 years ago, went in partners with our daughter and son-in-law to purchase a piece of land.
Yeah.
And we got about we got a little over 4 acres.
Right.
Came with the house on the property. They live in the house. And then I go up and work and maintain. But we began that. So we got the purchase there. Well, And since then, of course, as I said, I've added generators. We bought a travel trailer, so we have a place up there if we need someplace to
If
stay.
you had to go
If I
tonight.
had to go up there, we have a place.
Yeah.
We invested in storage. There was one storage container unit, I say storage building came on the property, went in, cleaned that out, outfitted it with shelves,
Right.
began to do that. Recently, it purchased a shipping container. So we began to have more storage space. So we can begin to put things up there, partly just to store it, keep it out of our house, but other things we may need. And so it's little by little by little, and it's been taking time. Got a piece of land, got to buy a tractor, because you can't take care of acreage, without some type of, and my back as I've gotten older. But anyway, so I get to sidetrack on that. We've begun slowly but surely to work on it. Well,
Right.
when I was looking for a piece of land, when we went looking, I had some specific criteria. It wasn't just find the first available piece of land, because there was plenty of that. It was, I wanted something that had a water source on it,
Yeah.
because water is essential. Okay, well, my place has well, has pond. Okay, so I've got a water source. In that pond is fish. So I've got, I've got fish that are just there in the pond. We feed them so that they grow
Right.
and multiply, hopefully.
Yeah.
But so we began to do that. And that was buying that acreage, having that, making sure we had water. I've only got 4 acres. Most of that 4 acres is cleared. It's got different structures on it and whatnot, but it's so I've got a lot of room to either put small animals
Right.
or grow crop.
Right.
The other big thing, and this is on the more extreme end of preparation, but it was the fact that there is plenty of public forest, public woodland, public hunting grounds nearby. Now, I don't spend a lot of time. I mean, I love living there, but I don't go hunt. I'm not a regular hunter.
Right.
But I wanted access to that. I wanted the availability of that. And so, I ain't going to say secluded, but somewhat secluded. The main thing being that the people around me were like-minded.
Right. That's important.
And I've begun to get to know my neighbors.
Some relationship
Some
building.
relationship building. But no, and there's a farmer's market in the town that this land is located next to. So kind of find out there's people we relationships that we had already known that are up there as well. So for us, it was a big thing. And, so it's like beginning to move every day closer and closer and closer.
Right.
And that came with a root cellar too. That was a whole other thing. That was another thing. So when we get crossed up, we have a place that stays cool year round to keep stuff. I mean, it's just, that's, we were willing to invest that far because I knew I got all kinds of conveniences. I am less than a mile from
Okay.
from
Now let's bring the folks into, some of the realities
some of the realities.
of getting up there.
Yeah, that's it. Because I promise you, if I'm not there when peanut butter hits the fan, I've got to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's its own thing. And that is, without getting too far into detail, yeah, we have stuff prepared
Right.
so that if we have to get from home to there, we know how and we have a means.
Right.
Is it the best means? No, but it's the means that'll get us there.
Right.
And, everything that we have at home is almost all designed to be able to pack up and take with us.
Right. Now, let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
If you could do it tomorrow, would you do it?
What's that?
Go to your homestead.
Oh, go and move on to my homestead and live there?
Yeah.
Yesterday, bro.
Oh, yesterday, not
Yesterday.
tomorrow.
No, yesterday. I'd already be there if it was.
Right.
But
it's more complicated.
It's more complicated. I mean, we have a home. We have, things going on. We have life and we have jobs and conveniences. Now, where we're at is not so far out that, we couldn't live on it. It's just, when you've got a piece of property and it has a house and, you've got a partnership and the partners live in the house.
Yeah.
Well, that means you got to have a place to live to move up there. And that's just something.
So there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of
to do there.
infrastructure work.
But that is your heart's desire.
That's my heart's
to be
desire to be up
Right.
there
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis so that I can begin to homestead. I was interested in that already, just didn't really know what didn't really have a coin title. I just knew I wanted a piece of land. I wanted to be able to raise some small animals, meat source. I wanted to be able to grow my vegetables and have food to be able to can and stock away and also to eat on a day-to-day basis and to have space around me and know that, there's no such thing. I mean, I'm not an off-gridder, okay? I like electricity. I like running water,
But if you had to, you're a
but if
lot
I had
closer
to-
to it than I would be, for
Right.
example.
But we were in that situation where it's like, I wanted space around me. I wanted, to get out of the subdivision life, get out of the in-town hustle and bustle. It is so noisy where I live, know. And so, to get away from that, and so there was a lot of personal desire, but then I was to just have that life. But then when we bumped into the homesteaders and we began to looking into that, I realized these people are doing what I want to be doing every day.
It's like I found a family. Finally, my community.
I found a community of people. I found people like-minded.
Right.
And, if you watch our videos with them, overwhelmingly the advice is start small, build up, but do it.
Right.
Go do something. Take that step.
Right, just get started.
Right. And so that's kind of our same encouragement.
Right.
If
And
you
let
got
me-
to start small, but get busy doing it.
Right. So let me just ask you this question.
Yeah.
Are you going to take us on the journey?
That is something that is in the works. We've began looking at what all would be involved in having to do that and coming to agreement. I mean, it's not, how much of it will just be me and how much of it may be, my wife or my
Right.
kids that are up there, how much they'll want to be involved. And I got to talk to them and make sure they're, kosher with that going on.
Right. So we might be able to look forward to
I'm hoping to be able to launch
for our new Farm to Table Direct Show family members
right.
to see where you're at.
To watch this progress. I mean, like I said, we've had the land for a few years now, and as I want to go through it, I realize, after watching a lot of other people, there is an interesting journey, and people enjoy seeing that journey. So, yeah, I'm hopeful. We're working on the details, kind of, what all will need to be done, watching others and what they've done, and kind of seeing, learning some how-to from the guys who've already done it.
Right.
But then also just, pulling back and saying, okay, am I going to invite, into that world? And I mean, it's I ain't gonna say it's unnerving. I mean, because we sit in front of behind the microphones in front of the camera. That doesn't bother me. But to be out there doing that, I think it could be educational for those who want to watch. Maybe even funny watching me out there mess it up and make a bunch of mistakes. But that's how you learn. And so, hopeful to be able to get that going pretty soon.
Okay, so we look forward to that. And bro,
If you got now, hang on. Now, before we go, let us know what you think about that idea, and leave a comment, send a comment, and any suggestions you might have on a cool name, because that's something else that is like got to get worked out, and that's on the bottom of the detail list, but it is important. But hopefully, we'll get going with that. So
right. So with that being said, I hope that in this segment of the show, or this show, that you guys have kind of got a feel for who we are, and where our hearts are, and our why we're speaking up and speaking out about the things that's going on, and how we're actually doing those things, to not just preaching about it, but we're also implementing those things within our own families. And so here at the Farm to Table Direct Show, we genuinely believe in bringing back central control away from control, back from the people who centralized control, back to our homes. And we believe that the Farm to Table Direct Show, that the answer to all this is in the Farm to Table Direct name, and that the closer your food source is to you, the more security we have, the more food security we have, and the less people will be able to control you.
This country, a lot of what was founded on this country, what founded this country was the idea, that a tyrannical ruler in a distant land had so much control and influence over the day-to-day life, and they wanted freedom from that.
Right.
And true freedom comes from having that, and knowing that your family's fed, and knowing there's a shelter over your roof, over your head, and you can protect and defend your family.
Right.
And so that was the thing. And in our motto, as we like to say all the time, in keeping it local, or keep it local, as we say, that's not, I mean, that's a physical action, absolutely, of shopping at a local place, getting anything you can locally and building those local relationships, matters so much. We've lost that community,
Right.
Through the internet, which I mean, don't mean it's a great thing, but we've lost a lot of that local mom and pop community. So it's the physical action, but it's a mindset. It's a mental attitude of drawing that circle in. And I say drawing a circle in of people building a network locally where how to get things that you may need, information you may need. If you got something you need help with, who to go to
Right.
locally. Not something you go out. I'm going to briefly reference it because it's a whole other thing. But about a year ago, wow, memory just right out the window.
Oh, yeah? What happened about a year ago?
The video I sent over to you, wow. Candace Owens. Came back. She sent out a video, and it was about cyber pandemic and that type of stuff. And but she got to talking about prepping, and she got to talking about our knowledge base. And what her thing was, if you have to Google it, or if you rely on Google to tell you everything, then you don't actually know anything.
Right.
And we've lost that knowledge that was passed down from generation to generation, in just a short amount of time. Because, and don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking on Google and something or DuckDuckGo or whoever or YouTube. I mean, I use it like nobody's business to learn things I don't know.
Right.
But I'm honest with myself about that assessment too. Mm-hmm. But so I'm saying it's a tool to be used, but it was just kind of this mental evaluation of where we are, that we have surrendered so much of, our grandparents growing up through the Depression, or I say growing up, they were adults raising kids through the Depression, and what they had to go with. And when I sit there and think about the fact that our mother didn't have electricity in her home.
Oh, right.
She didn't have electricity until she was an adult. I mean,
Right.
And I mean, you think about that, and mom will say to me all the time, she's like, I know I can live that way, but I'm not willingly living that way.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But it's the point is that we've lost that,
Yeah.
in just a short amount of time. And, and so the Homestead Expo and those homesteaders and those people that are out there doing that effort to bring that knowledge back.
Yeah.
And for us to sound an alarm, if you will, to be a voice that talks about the things that make people uncomfortable, to make them aware, to get them to think.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. And it is farm to table direct. The more direct that relationship is, the more freedom you have through your food security.
That's it.
And
the less people can control you.
Exactly. What is it Doug said? We've said it a few times. Control the food, control the people.
Right. Well, that was a Henry Kissinger.
It was a Henry Kissinger quote.
Yeah,
and
he said that.
He said that.
I didn't say that.
No.
Doug didn't say that.
It's out there.
It's out
Go look
there.
it out.
Check it out.
But
it's true.
It's true.
You think about it.
So, so if we pull that back to where, because if you can have a roof over your head and you can feed yourself and your family, how much do they really control you?
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Arrest the control from those people who have centralized it
100%.
into their own control.
And,
3-letter agencies.
Whoever it is, from whether it's internally in our country and your local in the governments or in another country.
I'm going to tell you like this: those 3-letter agencies and whatever side of the political aisle you fall on, those people do not care about you the way you care about you.
Absolutely.
They do not care about your family and your children and your grandchildren like you care about them.
That's right.
Don't ever think it. We can elect the best person in the world up there and think that they are going to solve all our problems. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to solve your problems, you are your own best hope.
That's it. Our hope rests in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and God above, right. and our willingness to get out and do for ourselves. I mean, that's really where it's at. I mean, you want to be community, but that first step is acknowledging you need to be doing it. Right. And take that control back. But bro, I think we've gotten a little fired up there towards the end.
We probably wore out our welcome.
Maybe just a little bit. But no, folks, hey, seriously, thanks for being here with us. We talked about a lot from the expo to who we are, what we are, why we are, and what we're about, and you've got a little taste of that. And catching in some of those conversations we have all the time. So we've recapped all of that. Again, to our new family members that have joined the Farm to Table Direct Show
Thank
family.
you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
And,
Bottom
share,
of our heart.
subscribe. Don't have to tell you to do that. Well, you know all the stuff you got to do, but, tell a friend.
Smash that like button.
Smash the like button, smash
that
the share
follow.
button, the subscribe,
Share.
the follow,
Yeah.
all the things that you do.
Right.
And
And if that's all that you can do to help us to
Hey.
help others, that's great.
that's right. Spread
Thank
the
you.
word. The more people that are aware, the more people that are on board, the better off it is. So hey, and again, big shout out to all the people that we talked about earlier. That has just opened their community to us.
Right.
And,
Yeah, for
we look
sure.
forward to a long, lasting relationship with each and every one.
Right.
So, bro, I think if
it.
there's nothing else, we can sign this thing out of here.
I think so.
All right. So, as always, from the Farm to Table Direct Show, prepare for the unexpected and keep it local.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.